Silence! It's time! It's time! It's
time for another episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 234 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm your host, as always. I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler, I am doing fantastic. Going through the work week, and I have been playing games, and I've been pretty happy about it. How have you been doing?
Doing all right, man. Same thing here. Getting through the work week, playing games when I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going pretty good. It was funny actually. Today I was out to eat with some friends to watch the Iowa Hawkeye game.
Yeah.
And Justin texted me out of the blue. Justin's not here this week, by the way, guys. And he's like, "Hey, did you hear their Nintendo doing a thing with Best Buy? You can go play the Super Mario Odyssey demo, and
Wow.
you get like a sticker booklet and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, "I'm actually like, I was just happened to be right down the street from a Best Buy."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Cool. Like, we're gonna be leaving here soon. Just if you want to go, let me know." He's like, "Cool, man. I'll be there in 15, 20 minutes or whatever." I'm like, "Cool." And then I get he's like, he texts me, he's here, and then I that's when I drive off. It's 2-minute drive. Get there, and as I'm pulling in the park, he calls me. He's like, "I fucked up." And I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "I'm at the one in Mill Civic. I'm on the one in University." So he went to the wrong Best Buy, but it worked out actually for him. So it's kind of a funny thing. It's whatever, but I thought it was pretty funny. I went to the one on one side of town. He went to the one on the other side of town, which actually worked out for him because I looked it up. So I went inside there. I'm like, well, I guess it was only from like 12 to 3, and it was like 2:40 or something like that. And I might have been able to get there on time, maybe. It's not a big deal. I didn't even know it was a thing, so I'm not really upset about it. I'm not upset about it. But it was just kind of like he called. It's like I looked it up, and the only one in the entire state here in Iowa that was doing it was the one he was at. So it worked out for him. I went in there and I went to go check that. I waited for like these kids to leave for like 15, 20 minutes. They kept playing the Pokken tournament over and over again, and I was standing there like hovering around them, like fucking stalking them. Like, get the fuck out, guys! Get the fuck out! How many times do you have to play the demo? You can only pick between 4 characters. You played like 5 games. You can go. So finally I leave. And I'm just like, maybe they got it there. And I look, they didn't have it there. Which is fine. It's a week out. I'm not really, upset about it. I'm not butthurt or anything about it. So it's whatever. I just thought it was a kind of a funny story. Just so happened that it was just like, I'm at this one. Oh, I'm at this one.
No,
okay.
I think one of the funniest parts about it is just you're just waiting like impatiently behind these fucking kids just playing 5 rounds of Pokken tournament. Just like,
oh, I know.
I'm gonna fucking burn you guys if you don't leave this fucking.
Oh, I know. I was getting so pissed because I kept walking around, and there's a lot of South Park shit out now, and I'm a huge South Park fan. People know if you've been listening for a while, know that. And I recently, as of this week, got into Funko Pops. Yeah. Which was a big mistake.
Oh no.
I bought the there's a sale on Amazon, and I bought the here it is. It is a Professor Chaos Funko Pop. It was like $6. I bought it, and then I also bought the Porg. He is like the cutest little thing. He was in the new Star Wars Episode 8 trailer, so I bought him as well. He's like $8, I think. And so I'm walking around. There's all the South Park stuff out now around the gaming area, and there was like 50 fucking Funko Pops of South Park characters. I'm like,
oh no,
all of these, and I kept like hovering around them. Well, and it just so happened to be one row away from these guys. So I'm sitting there staring at them, looking over at them, staring at these. I'm like, oh, should I get him? Should I get him? I didn't buy him. I fought it. I resisted the urge. Because I got like 60 fucking amiibo up here that if I can if someone offered me like $400 for, actually, you know what, $100 for, you can fucking have them. Let me just keep the Yoshis. That's all I care about. The Yoshis. Yeah, just let me keep the Yoshis and the dog.
Oh my god.
So I don't want to get involved in this shit again. The Lego Dimension stuff just ended, and that's one less thing for me to worry about because there's some cool Lego Dimension shit in there too I want to check out. But that's dead. We're not talking about it on the show, but I just wanted to name that's it sucks for the people that are involved in that, but for me personally, for my bank account, it's for the best. Yeah, so I resisted the urge, but man, it was really tempting. If there was a big gay owl one or something, dude,
You're gonna break.
I'll break. I'll break for him. But yeah, no, I checked it out. Finally, they walked away. I checked it out. They didn't have it. But it's out in like 6 days, so I'm not too upset about it. But yeah, other than that, nothing really too crazy going on with me. But you know, people don't know, it's a video game podcast. We talk about video games. One of the big things that we do on this show is talk a lot about Extra Life. And that is 2 weeks away. As of this recording, we would be in the middle of our Extra Life stream or campaign, whatever the hell you want to call it, marathon. People don't know. Maybe it's first time listening, or you don't listen to us all the time, or just forgot about it. Extra-life.org is a website and a charity that does a wonderful thing where we raise money. People donate money to us, and we play video games for 24 or 25 straight hours on November 4th this year. It's a Saturday, and all the money that we raise goes to Children Miracle Network hospitals. If you live in the United States, actually, when you sign up, you get to pick the hospital you want to go to. You want all the money to go to. Fortunately, the last couple of years, it's only the hospitals in the United States you get to pick from. Some weird charity laws, I guess, prevent it from doing anything else outside the United States. But all the money that I do goes to Iowa City, and all the one that Gables does goes to Seattle.
Yep.
So if you guys are interested in Extra Life, go to the website extra-life.org. You can sign up, tell your friends about it, post them on Facebook, post them on Twitter, show them the links. It's a really good cause. You get $200, you get a shirt. You get 500, you get a silver medal. You get the 1,000, you get a gold medal, and there's a lot of other cool stuff in between. But the real pleasure of it is knowing you did a really cool thing for some kids out there that need help. Yeah. So this is my 5th year doing it. This is gonna be Gable's 4th year doing it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So actually, this will be your 5th because we did our first year together.
That's right.
Yeah. So November 4th is when it is. If you're interested in it, check out the website. If you know people that maybe you're not interested in it, tell your friends about it. It's a cool thing. If you know people that might be interested in doing it, tell them about it. If you want to donate to us, we are on there, obviously. I'm Tyler Courtney. That is Gabe Bagno. If you want to bag, just say no. Yeah, so check us out on there. 2 weeks away, once again. I'm going to talk about it every week until it's over, and then we're going to talk about the week after, like we always do. But it is my least favorite day of the year. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Gables and I have been talking about some stuff we want to do for it and make a day of it and do some content. So it's just a matter of wanting to be on camera for 25 straight hours. I'm not really worried about looking at my worst because I always kind of look the same all the time. So it's my worst and my best. So yeah, yeah. But so that's the thing. But anyways, like I said, on this show we talk about video games, and we're gonna get to that part where we actually talk about some stuff. That's 2 weeks from now. Today is today. Let's talk about and last week was last week. So we're gonna talk about what we've been doing the last week.
All right.
So Gables, why don't you tell me what you've been playing, buddy?
Well, I've been playing a couple of different games this week because of my work week being kind of long and stuff with doing random shit and stuff with the production lines. I've decided just to go and just do little bits here and there for some of the games that I like. Like for instance, last Sunday I tried to play a little bit of Super Mario World for the SNES, just for a little bit of that stuff because, well, I kind of like going through the retro stuff a bit. So I'm already a little bit past a little bit past already past the 4th castle and stuff, and I'm already through the Forest of Illusion and stuff. I'm getting towards Chocolate Land or something like that, which is basically that gigantic portion or something right after the 5th castle, where it's just basically has a lot of these random dinosaur looking enemies that shoot fire, breathe fire and stuff. They're just Oh man, they're just so fucking annoying because when you beat like the bigger forms of them and stuff, they split off into a couple of different other forms and like little smaller forms, and they shoot fire. Like they will literally kill you in a couple things if you don't attack them quick enough. But I have also been playing something else though. I've been playing a bit of South Park: The Stick of Truth. Still,
Ooh,
I've actually played a considerable amount of South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Go on.
I have, since the last recording, I've spent at least about 3, maybe 4 hours playing it. During the week, I'm trying to think of where I was the last time that I spoke about it, which I think it was barely past like a couple of side quests and other things and stuff.
I don't think you actually talked about it on the show.
Really?
Last week.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you talked about it on the show.
All right, so basically what I've been doing in South Park: Stick of Truth is I am past some of the main portions. I'm actually just past the first day of like being in South Park and stuff. I'm like on pretty much like day 2. So I've already got a lot of the recruiting the different members like Tolkien, like Tweak, and Craig and stuff like that. Which, by the way, though, some of the stuff that you goes through, like try to recruit those guys, it's very fucking hilarious. Like the extent where you have to get a gas mask from Jimbo and stuff in order to try to attack fucking Tolkien's security guard.
Oh yeah.
And not only doing that, but it's like you talk to him after you beat him or something like that. He's at his post and stuff. I feel deeply ashamed. But oh man, what was hilarious is like facing off against like the hall monitor and stuff inside the school and doing this and that and stuff. Where basically the fucking hall monitor I thought was pretty easy in terms of like some of the major boss battles, like going through the hall monitor stuff, going through like the arduous process of recruiting someone to the summons like Jesus and like and Mr. Slave and stuff. Oh my god, that was hilarious. But what I'm finding though is the combat in and of itself is very simplified, and not just simplified, it's more like a combination of a Paper Mario sort of approach where you can just time certain attacks to where you can either block things successfully or you can inflict major damage on the enemy successfully. I mean, it's fun. It's definitely like an interesting times to play. What's also interesting is you can actually stack on a bunch of different ailments on enemies, like say gross out damage with bleeding or like bleeding with like things. When I went through the trek of that Mongolian tower by City Walk, I basically got this bow.
So good.
Oh my god, the bow and stuff. Oh man, just the whole introduction of going to City Walk and stuff. You see the dude, you just pandering to the Mongolians and stuff. It's like, hey, you beat up Mongolians and stuff like that, and like they think a bad neighborhood and they move out.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I love Mongolians. You Mongolians are so great.
And he's all like just shit talking. It's like, hey, the Mongolian beef, don't try the Mongolian beef. It's make you shit for 3 days. Like just stuff like that, you know. Just little quirks like that and recognizing from past episodes of South Park makes the game so much more enjoyable. Oh man, and plus going through and collecting the little Chimpokemon stuff and like. So currently, I am past the alien spaceship.
All right.
Oh my gosh. I'm past the alien spaceship. I am basically wandering around the town trying to figure out the next couple of different side missions I can do, which there are plenty. Like I can defeat the homeless people that are in the camps. Oh my god, and speaking of that, the fucking meth lab inside Kenny's garage, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get the fucking like mixture or something. Like Tweak's dad gives you a little thing. It's like, no, actually, no. It was like Tweak that gives you this little message or something. Hey, could you get to the pickup at this spot and stuff? You go all the way to Kenny's house and like get the special delivery from the Tweakers and stuff. And they basically are so paranoid. It's, oh, this is a different person. We gotta attack him. It's like, oh my god. But so basically, my class is a warrior. I am doing the warrior class and stuff, and I mainly have been using like the assault and battery with the baseball bat and the ball, which that's one of my favorite things. Like you just throw the baseball up in the air and you try to hit the fucking like people. If you hit it just right, you can actually do 2 or 3 different hits afterwards. But oh god, learning the fart stuff, man, the fart things are hilarious too. Because right now I am past like the move, the cuff a spell and stuff, where you just basically have to throw the fart at a distance.
Yeah, I love how in that game, like, it's kind of like the whole farting stuff is like a spoof on Skyrim's shout system.
They actually refer to it as like a dragon shout.
Yeah. It's basically just all they do is the whole thing is just like making fun of it. And even when you do it, like they'll like even do the little like warrior music that you always hear in Skyrim. It's like, I fucking love this game so much.
Oh man! And every time you do like a little farting action, like randomly in public, there's like a random chance where Cartman is just gonna be laughing out in the distance.
Yeah, and never fart another man's balls. That's a cute rule.
Oh my god! But how about that fucking mini game like on the spaceship with Randy? That is just so fucking.
Oh
fun.
yeah, God, that entire game, like man, that entire game is just the moment to moments of that stuff is the best. That's why it was my game of the year. It was at 2014.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah. I think I actually beat it again last year. That game, oh man,
yeah, that game is really good. Yeah,
yeah. It's funny for me, like thinking about back in the day. I remember I thought it was gonna be like because it went through development hell forever with like I can't remember the one that went out of business.
THQ.
Yeah, when I was in development hell with them for a couple of years, then it went out of business. Then they went out of business. Then it got bought by Ubisoft. Then I went to development hell with them. It got delayed like 2 years. And finally came out, and I was like, I remember the day it came out, I was like, I ain't buying that game. The game's gonna be garbage. And then I'm sitting at work, and I'm like, oh my god, this game's actually really good. I couldn't find it. I had to go to like 4 different stores to buy it. Remember?
Oh my god, just a startling realization. It's like, oh, this is getting good reviews. I can actually buy it.
Yeah, it's like I need to go fucking find this game right now.
What has impressed me has been not only the quality of the gameplay itself. It's on top of the classic storytelling from South Park. Like, it's basically a gigantic episode of South Park.
Uh-huh.
That's what it feels like. And that's definitely why I love playing the Stick of Truth. Because it's like, not only just the randomness of, like, just talk with random people and stuff. I mean, hell, one moment you're going to be finding, like, a bunch of kindergartners or something playing a hide-and-seek game. The other thing is you're trying to, like, recruit some people to friend you on the fucking like social media stuff, like a Facebook type of profile or something, so you can not only level up but like gain certain perks and abilities. I think I'm like past the 20 somethings or something, but nice. I think the level cap is like what 20 or something like that.
Yeah, 20 and 25. You max out on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I kind of had the feeling of that because what kind of initially kind of surprised me at first was at the first hour or something, I really wasn't leveling up like as fast as I thought, and all of a sudden it's like I started making friends. It's like, okay, now here comes the level ups.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you do a lot of stuff, if you do like the way I did it, like on 360, I remember I 100% of that game, and I remember going through there, and I, like halfway through the game, the main campaign, I already got the level cap. So like,
wow,
the combat really isn't like super challenging, but you just fly through everybody. Because you have all the best stuff.
I'm really glad it's not that overly complicated or not that all like as difficult as it can be, because that game would be fucking brutal otherwise, and it probably wouldn't be as enjoyable as a result.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about the combat. Like each fight's a couple minutes, and really the only hard fights in that entire game are like side quests. It's kind of like like a Final Fantasy or something like that, where it's like you can go to the main stuff. The main story stuff isn't all that challenging, but it's like, if you want to get deep into it and do all like the crazy side story stuff, that's where you're gonna fight. And like, and I don't want to spoil anything for you, but like, all the best like boss fights are in the side quest to me.
I know right now I have talked with Al Gore. I have befriended him on the thing, and I know that sooner or later I'm gonna be facing the Man Bear Pig. Yeah. Because I'm putting the sensors. I put sensors up on two out of like the couple of different like spots you can put as part of like Jimbo's like big game hunting stuff for shit. Oh my god. It's just one of the things being like a cow, and then all of a sudden just killing a cow and stuff and bringing the Jimbo. Oh god. And there's this thing like a moldy sausage just looks like a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. There is so much interesting stuff that I do remember from South Park, like South Park: The Stick of Truth. The summons are really hilarious because you have like Jesus or something like that comes down and stuff, and he just basically touts his machine, like it's like his guns from that one episode, and starts shooting everything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have Mr. Slave the next minute and stuff, which I used him once or something during like one of the school break-ins and stuff. And I just see Mr. Slave come out of nowhere and stuff, just like randomly like envelop a fucking kid. Oh my gosh. But yeah, overall, man, that game is really fun. But it's also not the only games that I had been playing. Now, around a year ago, I made a bet with you in terms of like the proceedings for Extra Life.
I feel really bad about this now. I want to point that out.
But here's the thing about it is I made a promise to you that I would play through Resident Evil 6 if I did not make the thing. And which, of course, I didn't make the thing. You pretty much soundly just beat me kind of like 10-1 in that fucking regard. But yeah, but last night, when I got paid, I decided to go and get myself a $20 PSN card. I checked, and they were having a sale upon a lot of their like week 1 stuff. And of course, a couple of the games on sale were Resident Evil games.
Works out.
What's that?
Works out in that case.
Yeah, it works out. So
it's a sign from God that you must play Resident Evil 6.
It probably was, which that's pretty fucked up, but still funny to think about. But yes, I went through and I bought both. It's sort of a way to counteract one another. Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6 for $8 a piece, which I understand is probably like $11 too much for you, but
yeah, that was when he sent me the picture of like him downloading Resident Evil 6, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, it was only $8. I'm like, that's $11 too much.
So, since posting that picture, I have went through the prologue and I have went through chapter 1 of Chris's campaign. Well, so far so good. Nothing like totally mind-inducing, like bad or like horrible or something like that. But of course, it's just one chapter of one campaign. So what I'm doing in sort of this playthrough is I'm trying to follow it in sort of a chronological order. So in order to do so, I had to rely upon like game facts in order to go through this. So basically, what I got to do first is go through Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of Chris' campaign until I go into, I believe it's Jake's campaign or something like that. I am not too certain, but I believe that's what I read from the Game Facts form that I got. And so far, it's like a typical thing. It's average from what I've been, what I felt of playing it. I decided to do a little bit of an interesting thing, is I did not want to play the game on normal difficulty. Why? Because I actually want to finish the game and not like... I actually do want to finish the game. I don't want to just like being regularly normal, get a spot where I'm just going to absolutely suck in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what? We're going to spend another 5 hours in this game. Like, fuck that shit. I'm
just
playing
get through it
this
as quick as you can.
So basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm playing... I was playing a little bit of that this morning before getting out my coffee from fucking Starbucks. And let's see.
Starbucks sounds good.
Now, here's a story I think that I said a little bit last week. I went through Metroid, Samus Returns and stuff, and I got to playing it a little bit more about it. Like, since getting myself into a little predicament with falling down a fucking canyon. Like, basically using the bomb jump mechanics of the game.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And getting inside that hole and then getting myself out of it. I've at least gone through, I would think, another couple different areas since then. And so far, you know, it really feels like a really big, cohesive experience. I believe that this remaster for like Samus, like for like Metroid 2 and stuff, the Return of Samus and stuff, is really well done so far. I'm really liking the new improvements that they've made inside this game. The implication, like involving things like new items like the spider ball inside there, and like you have the bit of like this light armor to actually protect you from like certain chemical hazards and stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is actually pretty fucking good, I got to admit. But I've only faced off against a couple other different Metroid. The new area that I'm in, I have to at least kill about 8 of them in order to progress to another stage. So I'm in the process of trying to do that, but I've only played like maybe an hour at most of that. So the last game that I want to touch base on before handing the proverbial bottle over to Tyler here is...
We're sharing a bottle?
Metaphorically.
Oh.
Anyway.
Damn.
I played more of Sonic Mania this morning.
Ooh.
I gotta admit, this may single-handedly be the best Sonic game I've possibly have ever played.
Wow.
I am feeling so confident in saying that because having gone through the last couple of stages, I'm not even at the end portion of this game. When I first played it, when I first downloaded and stuff, I went through at least a couple of the worlds. I actually went to World 3 or something like that on my first playthrough, and since then I think I've not only went through World 3, but 4 and 5 as well. So basically I've went through enough to where I've pretty solidly can say that there is enough content inside this game where I feel like I'm going to be replaying this game a bit. Because not only is there a lot of remasters from classic Sonic games, like the original Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, maybe a little bit of Sonic and Knuckles there. But the last stage that I went through was a retro thing of one of my favorite Sonic games, and that's Sonic CD. Basically, they took the entirety of the last stage of Sonic CD before you faced off against Metal Sonic. And dude, this thing is all remade, and dude, you get to face off, and this is going to be a spoiler for anybody that hasn't played Sonic Mania yet. I'll give you about 5 seconds. And 5. Basically, you're facing off against Metal Sonic in this regard, you know. Dude, it is different than how it was originally in Sonic CD, where you have to outrace him. This time, not only are you trying to, outrace him in some things, the thing is in 2 or 3 different sequences to where not only do you have to race in order to try to get to a specific point, but you have to go through and he basically controls this Eggman-like machine, and he spouts out these little miniature clones of Sonic, and every time that the clones go into a ball form and try to shoot at you, you have to counter it with your own spin dash and stuff in order to knock it into him and stuff. And that's not even the end of the boss fight itself. Then there's the last portion where you have to somehow defeat him while trying to outrace a freaking spiked wall coming towards you, while you're on the freaking top of the stage. It was freaking intense, but at the same time, it felt really refreshing. Because up until that point, you're facing off against the different type of random bosses. I faced a couple of the early bosses, go through this one particular portion, this sort of a Puyo Puyo sort of mixed thing with Dr. Eggman. Then the past couple other bosses that I've faced, one is a gigantic firebug robot, the other one's a arachnid robot that you have to try to knock into these pit of spikes and stuff that are on the walls and stuff while you're going on an elevator and stuff. Just the amount of creativity in these boss battles and some of the intricate details upon how lush the environments are and how the level progresses. Basically, it's really reminiscent of classic Sonic games to a T. All the Sonic games that came out previously for the Genesis or even for the Sega CD, my gosh, it's the best of hits inside this one game, to the point where there were points where I just felt like I was playing something entirely, I was on my Genesis again, just playing some retro classic that I had never experienced before. That in and of itself was an awesome feeling, but to actually know that it's a natural evolution of a 2D Sonic game at its best, without so much of what made some of those games quite a slog to play through. For example, if you've ever played Sonic the Hedgehog, the original one, the first world you go through, it's oh, hey, that was cool, that was fast and stuff. Then all of a sudden you go through the Marble Zone, and it's slow, methodical. You have to wait for things to develop in order to try to get past that certain stage and stuff. Whereas in Sonic Mania, each and every world feels different in terms of you can actually go and progress a lot quicker. There's no waiting involved. You can actually go through in certain specific parts where the game actually navigates Sonic instinctively throughout certain portions of a stage, so you don't have to constantly, keep like your fingers on the D-pad in order to direct Sonic all around in different places. So what I'm saying is, if you even are on the fence for Sonic Mania, I kid you not, this is probably one of the best Sonic games you'll possibly get to play. Not only this year, but probably for like a long time afterwards, because this feels like a renaissance for Sonic the Hedgehog. This is something that people, like fans like myself, have been waiting an incredibly long time for. Get rid of all the other crazy bullshit, focus on what made Sonic good. And basically, it was Sega having to go out to a fan-made, go out to Christian Whitehead, like a hardcore fan that made his fan projects for Sonic the Hedgehog. Took him along with the elements that made Sonic games great in order to get yourself a fantastic Game of the Year quality game in Sonic Mania, which that's exactly what it is. It feels like a Game of the Year quality game. You know?
Well, until November 7th, when Sonic Forces come out and blows everyone away.
You know, it'd be pretty fucking funny if that ends up becoming a good game as well.
What if it becomes the best game?
Oh my god. I have my serious doubts about that, but we'll wait and see. I mean, Sonic Mania surprised me. Maybe they'll have the best 3D Sonic game? Who knows?
It's not a high bar.
It's definitely not a high bar. No, definitely not a high bar at all. Anyway, I think that about does it for what I've been playing. So, right. Tyler, you go ahead.
Alrighty. Well, I want to say one thing real quick about Resident Evil 6. If you want, man, you should not go through this terrible experience alone. If you want me there, bro, I'm there for it. I got the game. I bought the game last year.
I know.
We were going to play it last year for Extra Life. It didn't happen. So, I just want to point out, if you need me, I'll dive in there with you, buddy. We'll jump in there together. You just say the words and I'm in. But I'm playing that fucker on the easiest setting they got. So I'm not doing this to myself again because I beat.
Oh my god!
I was probably like 2 chapters away from beating that final campaign. I just couldn't do it. So.
You know what? I think this may be our Extra Life game that we're gonna be going through.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, there's a few games I'm definitely gonna play a lot of. You know, Madden, probably some Rocket League, Wolfenstein 2. Mario Odyssey, but I'll squeeze some time in there for Resident Evil 6.
I'll tell you what, I'll probably play through like a single campaign of it probably before Extra Life, because how I'm doing it right now, I'm probably gonna play maybe a chapter or so a day possibly. So we'll definitely go through what's left remaining and stuff by Extra Life.
I think the only thing is I have to start with you on the beginning of a campaign, so
we
make sure it's the beginning of one. But the story don't matter, so it doesn't really matter what order you play them in.
Yeah, no shit.
They're all equally terrible, besides Leon's, which is maybe passable. But going to what I've been playing. I've been playing just 2 games this week. Well, really 1 game this week. I talked about a lot last week. Evil Within 2. I ended up finishing it up on like Sunday evening. So just the day after I talked about it. I flew through that game in like 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Took me, I think, just under 13 hours. I did a fair bit of exploring. I mean, I guess the only downside with we talk about a lot with all the games coming out in October and all that, is I feel like I've rushed myself a little bit more than I would have if I would have played this game in like July or something like that when nothing else was out. Probably would do a lot more exploring, things like that. But overall, a lot of what I said last week still remains true. It is kind of interesting though, like there's 17 chapters in this game. And I think when I talked last week, I was on like chapter, what is that at? Maybe like 8 or 9, something like that. I'm not quite sure. And, after like, about that point, chapter 9 or 10 or something like that, it completely changes. Like the first, half of that game is, for the most part, it's pretty open. There's 2 different open areas I talked about last week. You can explore, not huge, you can probably find everything in there, a lot of key stuff anyways, and probably if you really 3 or 4 hours maybe at most if you want to check out every little nook and cranny. But the second half kind of turns into more of of Evil Within. God damn it.
It turns into Resident Evil 6.
Oh, man. Hope not. Hope Evil Within 6 is better than Resident Evil 6. Hopefully there is Evil Within 6. But anyways. So it turns more into Evil Within 2 in the second half turns more into Evil Within 1. Where it kind of becomes more linear, on tracks. More set pieces, things like that, which I am totally fine with. It's not a knock at all for that game. I kind of like it in that sense. I wish maybe a little more fair warning about it going into it, because I would like the chance to go back in there a little bit more and check out some of the stuff I missed. But it's the stuff. It's just all the things I love about Evil Within 1, but on a bigger scale, which I'm totally in for. The story is a lot better this time. If you really want the more in detail shit, talked more about last week, but I would say I don't know which half is better, but they both have their really good, really good and bad things about them. You know, it depends more what you want. I like maybe a little more of the linear style, with more of the jump scare, more of the horror stuff that was in Evil Within 1. I definitely, in like the first half, I had so much like a lot of things you craft a lot, like crafting health and bullets and ammo and stuff like that. And I found a shit ton just going around the town finding stuff. And the second half, there is not nearly as much shit to find for crafting. So the last probably third of the game, I was struggling with just keeping ammo and keeping my health up and all that. And that's when like I think some of the peak stuff, like it's frustrating at times, but it's kind of like the thing that makes you love those games is like the tension that you get from those, and like every shot counts, every impact, every time you find an enemy, like trying to sneak kill them without using any ammo or getting around them, like everything matters. Every shot you take, everything, every breath you take, every move you make, it all matters. I'll be watching you. But yeah, so I like it a lot. I would say if you like Evil Within 1, definitely check out Evil Within 2. It's a much better game, and also it is not nearly as janky. Not janky, but runs a lot better. You know, I talked about a little bit last week, but like I actually watched God, what are those guys called? But they always do like the stats and the breakdowns of like frame rates and all that on
Digital
YouTube.
Foundry.
Digital Foundry, yeah, thank you. I watched a thing about it, and they're talking about the differences in the PlayStation 4 and the PS4 Pro, and there's like none outside of the fact the PS4 Pro has a PS4 Pro has a slightly more consistent 30 frames per second. There's a few times it drops, but the first game consistently ran at like 18 to 24 frames per second. So this game at least consistently runs at 20 or 30, and sometimes during cutscenes drops down to like 27. So it runs better, it looks better, it is better. So yeah, I really liked it. I haven't heard any sales numbers yet. I'm hoping it does well. I guess we'll probably find out about this time next month how it did. But yeah, it's great. Check it out. Next thing I talked about a little bit last. I didn't play it last week, but I talked about. I was gonna play it. South Park Fractured Butthole. Obviously, we talked about Stick of Truth earlier. It is much like Evil Within. Everything Stick of Truth is, but on a much grander scale. It's hard to talk about this game, and I don't really want to talk about, like, Stick of Truth is easier to talk about because it's a game's been out for a few years. So talking about some of the best moments, things like that, it's not that big a deal. This game's only been out a few days. Go ahead.
All right. Well, in that case and stuff, if you can't like really divulge anything about the plot or anything else like that, that's fine. That's okay and stuff. But the questions that I've have is kind of interesting and revolves around like what have you experienced so far, Tyler? As like how is the gameplay of it exactly? Because it's different than how the Stick of Truth handles it.
Yeah. So I've been having this conversation with myself about like all the things that I love about the South Park game, like these last two games. I'm trying to like really the gameplay is almost like the bottom of my concerns. As long as it's passable, it's fine. And Stick of Truth was actually really well done. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It's fairly simple, but it's really like the moves and all the weapons you find is what's funny about it, and your buddies you get. So it was fine like that. This one, it's a little more in depth, but it's still not really all that hard. This
Right.
one is, so the first one was just turn based, regular like JRPG, Final Fantasy fighting. This one's more like Final Fantasy Tactics, grid based fighting. Uh, and I think it's like a 4 by, I guess it changes. Like most of them are like 4 by like 4 by 4 or 4 by 3. So like you got like 12 to 16 areas you can stand in, and so it's grid based. So you're moving around, you're finding best angles to attack people, and you can
Right.
move around so you can attack multiple people at once, things like that. I would say I think I like Stick of Truth more because the things I love more about is the town, is the characters, is going around talking to people, the story, interacting and finding stupid shit around the world.
Yeah.
And it's faster. Stick of Truth was, every fight was a minute or two, and this one's not too much longer. I'm not trying to harp on it. I'm not trying to say it's bad because it's not. It's
Right.
fine.
Right. So you could still like say explore around the city of South Park and so the town of South Park and stuff, and like able
Yeah.
to chat with people and pick up like quest stuff. Still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all the things you loved about South Park Stick of Truth. Like 80% of the map I've seen so far is exactly the same as Stick of Truth. There's a few
Okay.
changes. So like one of the things are, and these aren't really spoilers because they're like in the first few minutes you see of the game, is Morgan Freeman owns a burrito shop for some reason, which is really great. And he teaches you about crafting, and like he teaches you about like how to the burritos. Some of the burritos he helps you create, like increase your fart ability. So now like your like one of your fart abilities now is you can pause time or you can go back in time, which is just fucking awesome to me. He's like, and he like I can't remember what it's called, but in like Star Wars when like he phases a little bit. Like you can see like Obi-Wan from, you see like an orb of him, and like his ghost basically. He does that thing. He just pops up and he it's like use this, and like almost like use the Force, but he's like telling you to use like an ingredient for a burrito that creates new powers. Like all of that shit. Like, and that's like some of the stuff I don't want to spoil. Just like the some of the funny moments to it to me, but like a lot of the new stuff I'm finding in the game is great. Like, so kind of the key plot is that it takes place like almost immediately after, like a day or two after Stick of Truth. And I don't want to spoil Stick of Truth for you when you're playing it. But towards the end of it, you become, in Stick of Truth, you become one of the top people of the kingdom, basically. And this one is, so it takes place and like there's a big battle going on still between a bunch of people, and they're still doing the Lord of the Rings shit. And Cartman as the Coon, who's a superhero, goes back in time to this, and it's really not back in time. He just goes in his closet and changes the time on a calculator, and then he shows up in the middle of like the main base of the first game. Yeah. He's like, I'm the Coon from the future, and this happens. I need you guys to do like I need you guys to come with me. He's like we're playing this game. He's like, no, we're playing superheroes now. He's like, new kid, you're out, and he kicks him out. He kicks him out of the Coon and Friends group, and that's how it restarts. That's how it restarts. Like now you're at the bottom. Now you're the new kid again. You're at the bottom of the pile, And I just love how it changes. It's like they just change games. That's all it is. It's like, I don't know, I'm playing Lord of the Rings and Skyrim. Now we're playing superheroes. It's like that's how it starts over. And I'm like, that's awesome. And it's basically you just working your way up through them again, and basically like it's Cartman he's the Coon and friend. He's Coon, and he has like there's like his team, and they're arguing like, so like all the guys, like all the kids together are all superheroes, and they're arguing over how their cinematic universe. It's basically a spoof making fun of DC and Marvel's cinematic universe.
Yes.
And they argue how are they going to create the movie franchises, and it's like, oh, they don't like how this is, so they break up and they create two different factions. There's Coon and Friends, and there's Freedom Warriors, and Cartman runs one of them, and then Timmy, who is basically Xavier from X-Men, which is great. He creates his own with Mysterion, who's Kenny, and it's Civil War, and they're fighting over, and it kind of starts off with they're trying to find a missing cat, and they get a $100 reward. And
yeah,
it's like snowballs and something much bigger, a lot of things going on, but still at the heart of it is it's just kids dressing up as superheroes, and like you get your own backstory and all that, and for some reason your backstory leads to like your dad fucked your mom, so now like you become this vigilante and like Carmen doesn't understand that every dad fucked their mom, and that's how we're all born. He doesn't understand that, which is great. But yeah, man, it's like the moments that is just awesome to me. I love, and being like the huge South Park nerd like I am. Like they're doing callbacks to like season 3 and shit. Like I'm like this, and they're like stepping it up. Like characters that are like one episode from like a decade ago are popping up. I'm like, oh my god, there's like all kinds of cool stuff you can find. There's crafting in this now. Like they've gone a little more in depth with some of the game mechanics, but overall the game is still like it's a like you said, it's just a long episode of South Park.
It is,
and that is perfect for me. Like I think anybody can jump into this without having without being a casual fan of South Park would still enjoy this. But I think the more knowledge, it's like Metal Gear Solid 5. The more knowledge you have of this and in the world, the more you're gonna enjoy it. There's like so many callbacks, so many like shit, like and like a lot of new stuff that's going on in the last few seasons since Stick of Truth is in there. Like there's like random throughout the world you find member berries, and like that's just like there's like a million things you can find. It's like a collectathon almost. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like I don't necessarily like the gameplay as much, the battling system is nearly as much, but like I said, that's pretty much the least of my worries. You know, like everything else about this game is great. I'm loving it. Yeah, if you guys are a casual fan of South Park or you like that sort of humor, it's great. I love it. I'm digging it. Like the little comments I have probably is the Stick. I don't know. I want to finish the game, but Stick of Truth is probably the funniest game I've ever played, and this one is not too far behind. If it keeps up, it's gonna be fine. And so far, like the biggest thing to me is how they're gonna top Stick of Truth. And at the level we're at currently, and like I played 7 hours of it so far, and I barely scratched the surface of the actual main campaign. I would say so far it's neck and neck.
Wow.
And I think it's just like some of the second and third act of Stick of Truth is like some of the best moments in gaming to me. Like just most memorable, craziest, funniest moments. And that's the stuff I want to see how it plays out. But so far it's been great. Like one part you actually go to a strip club, and you gotta find this girl named Classy, where the D looks like it with an I, and the D looks like it's fucking the A. I don't know. Anyways, it's weird. But you gotta go to a strip club to find this stripper because she knows something about the missing cat, and like these two drunk guys mistake you and Tom Malcolmson, whose tongue is too big for his mouth, and he has diabetes. And his main power is he drinks an apple juice box, and he gets super strength. And then afterwards, he has to take an insulin shot, which is super funny. I love it. But you go in there, and like these two drunk guys mistake you as strippers, and you have to play a grinding mini game. You have to you're an 8-year-old boy grinding on this like drunk guy. It sounds stupid, but it's fucking funny. It's great. The way South Park does it is excellent to me, and that's me being a fanboy. I know, but I love it. It's all great. But yeah, those are the things I've been playing. I'm gonna play more of it. I assume I'll probably have it beaten before we record again. So I'll talk about more next week and tell you how it plays out at the end. But so far, man, this is 2 big thumbs up for me. They have done it again. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been playing this week. Let's go ahead and move on to some news.
All right.
Not a lot. I mean, some small things coming out, but only a couple big things, but just a few small things I want to run through real quick. First up, just kind of want to mention Doom that they announced about a month or so ago is coming out for the Switch this year. Finally has a release date. It is November 10th.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like we talked about, $60 still, 30 frames per second. I think it's 720p. But yeah, it's out then if you want to check it out. Another thing is that Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. They had a season pass for it, but they didn't really have a lot of information on what the season pass was going to be. We finally got some information on it. So on this past Tuesday, kind of out of nowhere, like it's just kind of an update came out on Monday afternoon, and it was like, hey, like this is happening. So basically, this past Tuesday, part 1 of the DLC came out. It's just basically more challenges, which is like a side mode you can do. It's just super hard challenge mode basically. That's out. now if you want to check it out. And then the second half, which I think is the big one, is the story DLC is out on January 16th of next year. Season pass, if you're interested in that, is $20. I might pick it up. I want to wait and see what the story DLC stuff is, because I read about that game back in August when it came out, and I want to check out more of it. But I'm just kind of waiting. You don't know what it is. This feels like it could be like a Breath of the Wild type of thing, where it's like it's $20. Like the real stuff is at the end, but you gotta buy all the other shit too to get to the good stuff.
Right.
So that's the thing. But moving on to kind of the real meat and potatoes of the news this week is, there's two big ones. One happened just as we were talking on Skype before we started the show, and we'll talk about the one came first actually. So kind of the big news that started this week, I think it happened Monday or Tuesday afternoon, is that EA closed Visceral Studios.
Yes.
So people that may not know or may not remember, Amy Hennig, who was the creative director and head writer for the Uncharted games, the first three anyways, she moved over to Visceral, I think at the early stages of Uncharted 4.
Yep.
And since 2013, when EA made a deal with Marvel, or not Marvel, Disney, to make the publish all of the Star Wars games.
Yep.
Yeah, I blanked on that for some reason. Pretty much every studio that EA has now is working in some sort of way on a Star Wars game. And Amy Hennig was was the head of Visceral Studio for this Star Wars game. And we actually got like a 10 or 15 second clip of it. I want to say last E3, 2016. And that was all we got from it. But everybody freaked out over that little bit of piece we got there. And basically everybody was saying that it was a Uncharted style Star Wars game. And so it kind of came out that EA was closing the Visceral Studios and was going to kind of pivot the game to... And you know what? I'm just going to read you this, basically this article, not the article, but the statement from EA. This was posted by Patrick Sutherland, I believe is how you say his name. He is, I think, the vice president of the company. I can't remember his exact role, but I know it's something vice president. But here's his post. It's a little long, so bear with me. So, quote, "Our industry is evolving faster and more dramatically than ever before. The games we want to play and spend time with, the experiences we want to have in those games, and the way we play all of those games are continually changing. So is the way games are made. In this fast-moving space, we are always focused on creating experiences that our players want to play. And today, that means we're making a significant change with one of our upcoming titles. Our Visceral Studio has been developing an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. And its current form is shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will continue to come back to and enjoy for the long time to come, we need to pivot the design. We will maintain the stunning visuals, the authenticity, whatever.
Authenticity.
That word. In the Star Wars universe, and focus on bringing a Star Wars story to life. Importantly, we are shifting the game to be a broader experience that allows more variety and player agency, leaning into capabilities of our Frostbite engine and reimagining central elements of the game to give players a Star Wars adventure of greater depth and breadth to explore. This move leads to a few changes. A development team from across EA Worldwide Studios will take over development of this game, led by a team from EA Vancouver that has already been working on the project. Our Visceral Studio will be ramping down and closing, and we're in the midst of shifting as many of the team as possible to other projects and teams at EA. Lastly, we had originally expected this game to launch in late fiscal year 2019, which means the first quarter of 2020. We're now looking at a new time frame, and we will announce in the future. Bringing new Star Wars games to life for every passionate fan out there is what drives us as creators. It's what has inspired us to deliver the massive new Star Wars Battlefront 2 experience launching in just a few weeks. It fuels our live service in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Sorry, I fumbled that one. Making games in the extraordinary Star Wars universe is truly a dream for so many of us at EA, and we have so many more experiences to come for players on every platform. Blah 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 blah. End quote. So basically, what's coming out is the game's been in development since 2013.
Yep.
and no real. I'm sure stuff's going to be leaking out over the next few years. They came out later and said everybody's asking what's going on with Amy, and I guess EA came out and made a statement saying that EA and Amy are currently discussing the future. So that's very concerning as far as that goes. But yeah, for people that may not know what Visceral has done in the past, they made the Simpsons game for the 360, PS3, and the Wii, which is actually a pretty damn good game. Not great, but it's a pretty fun game for being basically just it was supposed to come out to kind of advertise with the movie, the Simpsons movie, and it was actually not a bad game. They also made the 2 Godfather games, which were pretty good GTA clones. Dante's Inferno, which is actually a pretty damn good God of War clone. They made the Dead Space games, which I know I've talked about a lot on the show. And most recently, they had Battlefield Hardline. So it's kind of like the biggest stuff on there. They've had a bunch of other stuff, but that was kind of the key stuff. They've been around since 1998. And now they're closed. It sounds like around 300 employees were laid off. One of them actually made a statement. Kind of a crazy week for him. He had his first baby was born on Sunday and was out of a job on Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of a lot to digest from that statement, I think.
Yeah, it is.
But to me, I think the thing that sticks out more than just the studio closing, maybe not more than the studio closing, but kind of looking at it as a gamer side of the things. Like, it's terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's terrible. We usually don't cover the closing of studios. But this one's bigger, I think, in the core of gaming. Just looking at it as a gamer, what this means is crazy. So when he says that this game was shaping up to be a story-based linear video game, kind of says a lot, I think. So saying this game is going to be in development for 5 years, 6 years, and now it's looking at. They just did the math, and it's like this isn't gonna make like single player games like to them this wasn't gonna make enough money to be worth it really to them. So it looks to me that this is gonna be, I'm not the first one to say this, but it's the Star Wars Destiny is what they're going with here. It's to them in their eyes, kind of the single player games are going away, and this is kind of the future. Is the vision. Star Wars Battlefront 2, Destiny, all these big Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Gable's favorite game of all time.
No thanks.
Yeah, it's concerning as a gamer, especially for me, someone that loves those linear single player games. Those are my favorite games to play. Great ones like Uncharted, Evil Within. It's like I love those styles of game. Gears of War. I know it's got co-op, but it's a linear, mostly you can do single player if you want to game. And it just kind of sucks that like the big EA, maybe the second biggest studio in gaming, is kind of like, yeah, this isn't working anymore. So,
well, to be perfectly honest with you, this really isn't too much of a big surprise coming out from EA's camp. First off, I would like to say, though, that when it comes to Visceral Games, I mean, it's a real shame that this talented developer basically had their doors closed and stuff like that from just making a lot of those decent... There was plenty of decent games that they made. You brought up the Dead Space games. 2 out of 3 of them I think were actually pretty much passable, but... Well, I would just say passable by, I didn't really play Dead Space 2, and Dead Space I only played maybe a couple bits of, so I really don't have too much experience. But
okay, I'll let that pass.
But that's just the thing, though. In terms of, EA's direction, I kind of figure that they, on paper, think they're not going to get their most bang for their buck with just a single-player Star Wars experience. Now, what they're going to do, possibly... in order to alleviate, is sort of similar to what they are currently doing, which is sort of like how Star Wars Battlefront 2 is doing with possible not only just an online multiplayer sort of focus, but with loot boxes or microtransactions in terms of things, And you're not too far off when you said games like Destiny and games like, say, Battlefront 2 are more like a big ol' focus. Yeah, even Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildland. That was more or less sort of akin to like a military portion of Destiny, to where you can play co-op with like different other types of people, or you can go and join other people online and stuff. But at the same point, I don't feel that this is going to diminish single-player linear games, hardly at all. What is going to increase, though, is a lot of the Destiny clones like we have been seeing over the past few years. With also from Ubisoft's camp, with, say, what was some of those, like...
The Division was one.
Well, the Division was definitely one.
And they do make Destiny. They are publishing Destiny, so...
Well, Activision's publishing Destiny, but the Ghost Recon...
Oh, you're right,
Ubisoft
you're right.
fair.
Yeah, damn, I mixed them up.
But, yeah, EA trying to do their own type of version of Destiny, I mean, that's really no surprise there. And if the thing is, they got one of the biggest deals right now going on with Disney in terms of, like, having the Star Wars license for them to do and experiment how they please. So, of course, that's going to be sort of a big incentive for them to try to, productively try to produce a quality, probably sooner than you think, like, game in terms of, like, Star Wars related. Because what it sounds like to me is they closed down a potential, like, 5 or 6 year project, which probably could have been, like, something that probably would have been one of the best Star Wars games we probably could have seen if they went with what they were going to go with. And instead, we possibly could see something radically different, to where it's probably going to come out a few years from now. Probably have some sort of major sort of social life sort of implementations, like, say, like a large social media things as akin to Destiny. And then you're going to have something that's somewhat similar, but it's going to be more based upon, like, some of the current stuff that companies are putting out nowadays in order to try to reap the benefits more so from the average consumer, by including more, like, loot box stuff, more microtransaction stuff. It's basically sounds like to me, and I hope I'm wrong about this, and it's going to get a lot shittier when it comes to some of what they are going to potentially release. I mean, if they're questioning right now about people like Amy Hennig, like, being in a job position where she was at, I mean, hell, she left Naughty Dog in order to go work on the Star Wars project that she had a lot of hopes and ambitions for. So, honestly, I think it's a shitty move by EA, but at the same time, they're a company, a multi-billion-dollar company, that is trying to focus upon gaining the most profit in order to try to monopolize how much of their content is going to be seen. But, man, it is just a shame, And, like, I hate seeing, like, companies that made some pretty good games, pretty decent games, like Visceral, like other companies that have come along and, like, got bought out by EA, and all of a sudden it's like they pretty much were absorbed into the ether of what EA and their licensing stuff has done.
BioWare.
Yeah, BioWare is a good example.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Sterling did a video, like, a long time ago about what EA does when they buy studios and kind of what happens to them afterwards. And, like, you look at, it's just another casualty of it. And BioWare is slowly turning into that too. It's a slow, painful death. But it's happening much quicker than I think a lot of us thought it would be.
Yeah, BioWare is definitely next. And quite honestly, it's like, I'm more so surprised Visceral was still around even after, like, putting out things like Hardlines, because that was probably one of the last major hurrahs of that studio.
Yeah, and it wasn't a very good game. I remember talking about in the show back in the day, and it was pretty bad.
No, all I know is that Jake didn't really like that game too much, so that's like...
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like another victim in EA's little thing.
And it sucks, kind of the way things have been going over the last handful of years now. It's not just gaming, it's just in general. Like, it's no longer like... I listened to a podcast a long time ago, probably about maybe end of the year last year or so, and they were talking about kind of like movie studios. We're going in this route where $10 million movies were no longer a thing. Like, releasing big studios were no longer releasing movies that are $10, $15 budgets and making $30, $40, $50 million and being happy with it. Now they're making movies with $100, $200 million budgets and wanting billion-dollar returns on. You look at Batman vs Superman. That movie made had like $150 million budget, made like $800 million or something in theaters, and it was a disappointment. It made five times
insane.
It made. I mean, a disappointment in the sense that like the Avenger movies have about the same amount of budget, and they make in the billions. Which if that's your benchmark, you're looking at one of the biggest movie franchises of all time in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. But anyways, and that's kind of where gaming is going, and especially the big studios, Activision, EA, Ubisoft. They're no longer going after the small little ones that might make them $15-20 million or whatever it might be. Is no longer a big thing. It's like we want big money. We want long games as service is a new hot phrase you hear now in gaming over the last year or so. Is games that like we're going to continually give you stuff to do over time, and it's been going on for 3, 4, 5 years now, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And I get it. I mean, I understand as a gamer. For me personally, like I'm more about the experience. I want just a good gameplay. I'm fine like playing a game like Evil Within. I played it for 13 hours. I beat it in 2 days. Paid $60 for it. I'm fine with that purchase. That's money well spent for me. I had a really great time with that game. That's fine. I bought other games I played 5-6 hours of and beat it and was perfectly happy with. Paid $60 for it. But for some people, it's long sustained games. That's kind of the route. Like look at a game like Destiny. People were still playing Destiny when Destiny 2 came out, and that was a 3-year-old game. People want games that they can play for months. They want to play games where they can play with their friends. We're casual gamers. The more I hate that kind of using that term, but that's kind of the best term we can really use. The people that they only buy a couple games a year. And I have a lot of friends like that. They don't play games but they can't play with their friends. Like I have a buddy of mine. He got Doom, and I was sitting there watching him play it, and I'm like, dude, this is a great game. He's like, yeah, it's fun, but it's like it's just kind of like I want to play with my friends. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it has a multiplayer mode, but it's not all that great. But the single player is really good. And he's like, yeah, but I like playing online. I'm like, okay, I mean, teach his own. But it just kind of sucks for me personally, as the way I like the game, that we're going in a route that I really don't like doing. Like I'm kind of an introvert a lot when it comes to gaming sometimes.
Well,
and
yeah.
I like to just kind of sit on my couch, sit on my chair, whatever, and fucking play a game by myself, enjoy this experience. And yeah, it's a dying breed, and you can't. I mean, I don't believe that single player gaming is no longer a viable thing for big studios. Like, yeah, it's not gonna rake in the money like these other games will, and it just can't. You look at, I mean, there's no way. Like, a game like Uncharted 4 came out just last year. It sold almost 10 million copies in its first year on a console that only had about 50 million at that point. About this past May, around 50 million sold. And so basically 20% of people that own a PS that were able to buy that purchased that game. Yeah. And you're talking about a game, the Star Wars game that Visceral is making. First off, it's fucking Star Wars, one of the biggest IPs out there. Second, you got the EA marketing push that nobody else can match.
That's
when
true.
they want to push something, they can push it. And this game's gonna be on everything: PC, PS4, Xbox One. If you want it, you can play it. And there's no way this game can't make money, or couldn't be a viable success. It's just frustrating. I understand. Like, you look at some of the sales numbers, like Resident Evil 7 Capcom is it made money, but a pretty big disappointment. That game was expected to sell 10 million. It's sitting just under 4 million sold. So yeah, I mean, you look at a game like Tomb Raider, like the first one, the reboot, it sold a little over 3 million, and they laid a bunch of people off and nearly closed the studio because it was such a big disappointment. 3 million. That's huge. You're probably one of the top 30 or 40 games sold that year, out of the hundreds that come out, and you're a disappointment. So, that's just the way the industry is going, and it sucks. You look at like single player games now are mostly big, huge open world games, and that's where everybody's going. Some work out, some don't. We're in a time where it's quantity over quality sometimes.
Yeah, and that's mainly what's kind of wrong in the aspect of some of this gaming industry as a whole. To be perfectly honest and stuff, yes, the amount of games that we're getting, sometimes thousands, if you want to count what's coming out on Steam, like in the span of a month, in terms of like what we're getting and stuff, is not equaling what the type of quality that we want to play and what we want to spend our time in. I mean, I understand the direction that, Tyler, you're just speaking of, where a lot of it's going to mostly just online only type of experiences where basically a lot of the games are open world, there's lots of stuff to do and stuff. But here's the thing, you play so many of those type of games and until you're like burnt out in the whole experience. I personally don't like that type of main focus, and to be perfectly honest though, I don't have to play these type of games like that. The only reason why I spent so much time as I did with Ghost Recon Wildlands is, well, one, a friend wanted to play with me about it. I played, obviously, a bit with the person and stuff, and it's like, I played what I played. I enjoyed what I played for the most part. I completed the damn game, and basically, I just got rid of it, sold it. I really don't feel like ever playing again, so that really kind of defeats the point, but at the same point, I just don't like the idea of there being such an emphasis on online-only type of games that have multiplayer functions that will supposedly make you last for a long time, outshining sort of a single-player linear type of game experience where it's probably going to be some content. It's probably going to be 10 times better as an experience as it is going and playing multiple multiplayer games online. It's just basically is what it is right there. I just would rather play a single player experience because that's pretty much my custom, my style. I know that's probably not.
I would rather play a great 10-hour single player game than put 30 hours into a good open world game.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Time to me, time to a lot of people is valuable. And I get, and money is valuable to people. So it's kind of comes down to like, what's more valuable, time or money? You are really, I mean, it could be kind of, I guess in some cases it's the same thing really. It's like, I got $60 to spend. I got this game I could play for a week and be done with it. Or I have this game I could play it for months and I could play it somewhat casually and still be fine with it. And like I said, I get all that. It's just, I like ice cream. I just don't want ice cream all the time.
Right.
And I feel like we're going to get a lot of ice cream with Star Wars, or not Star Wars, but Destiny style games and open world style games. Like that's kind of the future. I mean, if you really want these really good, well-made single player driven, story driven games, I mean, it's going to be the smaller indie stuff. Like a Hellblade kind of style game. Like it's going to be a $20, $30 small downloadable title. Or like a Telltale. I mean, these are the closest we're going to get to them. Inside, Play Dead. Like, these are the guys, if you want great single-player story-driven games or single-player games, I guess that's a route we're probably going to have to go get a lot of them. So, it's a tough pill to swallow, I think. And it scares me personally that this is kind of like, this is where it's going. And it's probably going to get worse from here. But, let's go ahead and move on to our last topic. This is one I was talking about, kind of happened like as we were talking on Skype. Is NeoGaf. It's like the Neo. We kind of like came up with it's basically the NeoGaf Armageddon.
Pretty much.
Now. People don't know, and I don't really know a lot about NeoGaf. I've never personally gone on the website, but it's probably pretty much the biggest like forums that are left and on the internet now anymore. It's mostly gamer related, but it talks about everything on there. But basically, the guy that created the kind of the head honcho of NeoGaf, I think his name is Tyler Malik. I believe that's how you pronounce it, or Malik maybe. Kind of came out, and a story came out, and this, I guess, it came out over sometime. I think either late yesterday or sometime today. This is Saturday. It's Saturday night as we're recording this, and he. This woman came out, I guess, back in 2014. They were really good friends, and he forced himself on her, sexually assaulted her, and she kind of like kept it. and under just kind of just kept it in for a long time. Didn't talk about it. Didn't tell anybody about it. And there's been this hashtag Me Too going on this past week.
Yes,
with women coming out telling. Oh, go ahead, Gables.
It's like, well, it was just like what I was gonna say. It was basically, yes, the Me Too movement. Like, it's basically women who who have either been victimized or something. Like, basically, it had some sort of like sexual assault or whatever type. It was just probably not only just to raise awareness though, but actually for some women and stuff to share like their past experience, some of their fears, some of the things that have happened personally to them, in order to that's plays in part of this whole Me Too movement. I mean, I may not understand the entirety, but I understand that it has some of the elements of sexual assault are like so serious that some friends that I have personally have gone through like just terrible experiences with that too.
But yeah, it's kind of it's been a big thing going on this past week. Like I said, raising awareness for things that women could finally come out, things they've been holding for a long time, have been saying, and come out and say it in kind of a safe space. It's going on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, pretty much all social stuff, and it's kind of a cool movement. I mean, terrible circumstances, but it's cool to like see people coming together for something like this. And
yeah,
this is part of it. A woman came out, and she didn't name names. She said it was a big person in the gaming industry, and finally, I think people kind of forced her to come out with it. People were trying to connect the dots already, but she finally came out and said who it was, and it kind of turned into a big shitstorm on NeoGaf this afternoon, and basically all the mods had quit in protest of him.
Yep.
And people are actually going on the website and saying ban my account. Because they don't want to be a part of this anymore. They want everything of theirs taken off the account. So ban it. But nobody can ban it because all the mods quit. So it's kind of a crazy thing that's going on right now. And with NeoGaf, it's the death of a huge website for a lot of people.
In the most spectacular way possible, may I add.
Yeah, no, I mean, all to it. Like, I don't want this guy making... If all this is true and everything like that, like, obviously there's two sides of the story. But I guess, there's a lot of shit in the past. Just doing some, like, reading into him and reading about everything. There's a lot of things he's said and done in the past and comments he's made to other people. And it sounds like there's a history and there's some evidence, too, that this is more likely true. So I'm glad. I hope this is falling apart for him because he deserves it. He does not deserve to make any more money off of this website.
Exactly.
And I hope he doesn't. I hope this website's done and it goes down. But I feel bad. Obviously, mostly for the woman than anything. Like, it's a terrible thing that happened to her. Shouldn't happen to anybody. But just looking specifically at NeoGaf itself, and as something I kind of mentioned to Gables before we start recording is we've talked about here and there on the show is Talking Ship. It's another podcast we listen to. It's kind of how we all got together. It's kind of the origin story of Drunk Dash Nerds. We're like the unofficial fan cast of Talking Ship. And I told him I found out like some of the people in there, the head people in there were like awful people doing shitty things. Like, I wouldn't want to be part of it anymore. But I'd be super sad to see that community go away. Like,
yeah, I know. Right?
Gables and I have both been a part of really cool communities that have fallen apart because one person was an asshole or a douchebag or a terrible person, and it sucked. And we all split off, and like a lot of people we don't talk to anymore. Like a lot of them found their way to Talking Ship, and like Talking Ship is like the coolest thing to me on like social media. Like, it's the whole memes and Talking Ship, but the only reason I go to Facebook anymore.
That's true.
And like I told him, like, it would suck if like that whole community just fell apart one day. And like it would be a huge bummer. That'd be a pretty decent sized chunk of my time, and honestly, maybe somewhat sadly, a good chunk of my life. Like one of whenever I go there, it's like always fun and it's always up. It's always stupid shit going on there that makes me laugh, makes me smile. When I have a bad day, going there and like read whatever the fuck Cam did. Cam always does something stupid on there or whatever. We're getting into the weeds of Talking Shit, but it's like every time I go on there, like I don't go away disappointed. You know what I mean? And that would be a major bummer if that went away. And I just like this one fucking douchebag has fucking ruined this really cool thing for tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. This one person ruined it for everybody. And so fuck that guy. First off, for what he did.
Yep.
That, I mean, first and foremost, fuck you for that. If it, like I said, more likely it sounds like it's true. But this one act is just gonna make. I'm not gonna sit there and say it's gonna ruin everybody's lives, but like, if you're really into a community, that shit's really cool and it's a lot of fun. And you just ruined someone's really like a lot of people's good times because you're a piece of shit. And I hope everything that happens to this guy, he deserves it. That's the way I feel about it. What about you, Gables?
I'm of a similar sentiment, man, where it's like, I absolutely just detest anything in regards to, say, like, sexual assault stuff, or even just sex crimes in general, you know, because it's like, I've seen the repercussions from people who have fallen out from, like, either being, like, you know, assaulted, or, like, even, like, just random harassment stuff from, like, participating on things online and stuff like that, you know? It's like, I absolutely hate the type of people that are going to go and try to do the predatorial sort of nature, because this is pretty much exactly what this dude, from what it sounds like, I mean, we don't know all of the story of it, but it definitely seems like this guy is definitely like a predator, like a damn pedophile, if anything else, where it's like, went forth, he made unannounced and like unwelcome advances on this girl and stuff that he knew was a close friend to. It's like, God, the dude is pretty much a gigantic asshole, you know? And because of this one man and stuff, it's like the entirety not only of like what he did, it's all of a sudden it's now tainted goods. It's now unwanted, like unstomachable. I mean, I am actually quite surprised for one, like it coming out like around this time and stuff, and it's like, you had to have believed, like, maybe some of the moderators and stuff, they had to have known something of this guy's nature beforehand or something like that. And all of a sudden, it's like, once word of, like, the whole sexual assault allegations started pumping up, it's like, they just left en masse. The moderators of NeoGaf just left en masse.
Yeah,
This
rats jumping on the sinking ship.
Exactly. It's leaving their admin and stuff, pretty much the only person of, like, authority or something like that that's on the gigantic fucking message board, like, dying with his ship. But it's interesting to think of it this way. This is pretty much, it looks like this is the tragic, if not, like, firestorm of an end for a once like, looked upon big old message board that's been around for like a little while now. And some bits of the gaming industry kind of like can be traced into NeoGaf, because a lot of the people who were there on GAF and stuff, some of them were developers, some of them were like people, like big people inside the game industry who were adequate like users of the forum and stuff. There were some leaks that it came out on that forum specifically that, you know, which around E3 time, some of them were proven to be actual legitimate facts. But it also tells you, like, it also just tells you it's like the last remnants of like past for like things like message boards. This is one of the last, it's like what you're saying, Tyler. This was one of the last major gaming message boards that we can actually just remember, other than some like kind of obtruse and like probably hardly anybody goes to anymore, those IGN message boards. I mean, there probably still are people that still go there every day and stuff, but man, it's just crazy to see it just like explode in like almost like a gigantic fashion and stuff after just like one bombshell of a thing just happens just overnight. Literally happened overnight, and all of a sudden we have just this colossal thing we're probably not going to hear like enough of until like around probably for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something, you know, like me personally, firsthand not dealt with, but I've dealt with it, in I guess a secondhand sort of way. I don't really know the best way to describe it, but like way back when I was just out of high school, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she went to college, and we were doing like a long distance thing.
Yeah.
And she was attacked by a guy. She was drunk,
Yeah.
and some guy forced himself on her. She's able to fight him off, got away, but she was really weird for a couple weeks. It took a couple weeks to tell me about it, and it was like I was getting upset with her because I didn't know what was going on, and she was just all of a sudden acting different, and she was scared to tell me because she didn't know how I was gonna react, if I was gonna believe her, if I was gonna think she tried something else happened, blah blah blah. But yeah, I remember like it took her a couple weeks to tell me, and it took a little bit for us to be somewhat normal again.
Wow.
So I mean, and she was a lucky one. She was able to fight the guy off, get him away. And there's a lot of women out there that are not. And a lot of women got a lot worse than that and dealt with it on multiple occasions. Like I was reading some of the stories about people were posting about it, and it's just some of the shitty things that women have to deal with just because they're attractive. And it's not fair. It's not right.
No, it's not.
Like I'm not gonna sit there and say I'm a saint. I know I've probably said some comments to women that I shouldn't have.
I mean, we're only human, Tyler. I mean, we're going to say hateful stuff sometimes without even realizing it.
Or just say something like you think is being nice or charming or whatever, and it comes off, and you're just like, it's kind of a shitty thing to say or shitty thing to do. We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all like there's something we might have said and not even realize it. Like that was a big deal. Maybe to us it's just a comment. To them it's something way different. And it's just something that I think a lot of us men out there need to realize, like how we act, what we say, what we do. We need to be smarter about it, and this is much different. This is what he did is way worse than verbal. But yeah, I think it's been popping up a lot lately with the Harvey Weinstein shit.
Oh yeah,
all that,
because I think that's really empowered the whole, not only just the whole thing in general, but this guy Harvey Weinstein and stuff. Ever since like the whole major bombshells, actress after actress after actress have come forth with what this monster has quintessentially done and stuff. It has given enough confidence. The whole positive thing about this is it's caused a lot more of like positiveness for other women to come forth and say, hey, this is what happened with me and stuff. This is what happened with me and stuff. You know, it's terrible that these incidences have happened, but at the same time, it's like now some women can actually go forth, share their story, and just cope. Not just cope, but just like recover mentally and stuff from a lot of this tragic shit that has happened, you know? It's...
It's not an easy way to transition out of this and end the show, but I mean,
no,
we're probably not the main people we're not the people to talk about this.
No,
we're just two dumb guys out here going on a show talking about video games. But to me and to you, I think it was something important to talk about.
It was.
And it's in the world of gaming. It's something I think that needs to be talked about, and it's kind of a big thing that's going on now. So fuck you to that guy.
Yep.
And I hope everything that happens to you negatively for the rest of your life, you deserve it. And I hope, I don't want you to make another dime on that website you created ever again, off your name ever again. I hope you lose pretty much everything. Lose it all. Because you deserve it. That's pretty much how I feel. Like I said, not a good way to transition out of the show. I'm sorry for that. Kind of a downer way to end it. But thanks, I guess, for listening to the show. I hope it got you some laughs, and I hope it got you guys to think seriously about some of your life choices and things you do. Once again, thank you. If you want to hear more from us, we do have a Facebook page and group. It's Drunk Nerds Podcast. Like and join us on there. On Twitter, at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there. On iTunes, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review. Please leave a comment. We'll shout you on the show if you do. On YouTube, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe and like our videos. Podcast goes up in there. Any live streams, anything we do like that goes on there as well. And last but not least, check us out on twitch.tv/Drunk Nerds Podcast. Like I said, we're talking about this stuff for Extra Life. We'll let you guys know next week. Try to come up with a plan and let you guys know, because I think that might be the last show before Extra Life. Check us out on there. Follow us on there. Send us friend requests. We like friends. Friends are good. And if you guys ever want to talk, just hit us up. We're not hard to find. We're all over the internet. Thank you guys so much again for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, I hope you play plenty of good stuff. I hope plenty of positive vibes, positive stuff happen to you. And you know what? We're just a week away from Mario Odyssey releasing, so woohoo! Let's go!
Woohoo! See you guys next week.
See ya.